Welcome back! It's Amber and I am so excited because today I have a very special guest with me. You may have noticed I'm not alone on camera. This is Meriya and I'm so excited that she agreed to be with us today because we're going to do all sorts of fun things. But first of all, tell me a little bit about yourself. Where were you born?
I was born in Nepal and
now you live in the States, right?
Yeah.
How long have you lived here?
I've lived here for almost about 5 years.
What was your English level when you came to the States? I'm a language geek, so I want to know.
Well, I guess good, because in Nepal you're required to learn English as soon as you get into school, so I've had experience speaking in English.
Very
so,
nice. I was going to say, if you learn what you, in just a few years, the level of English that you have right now, I want to be like, teach me your ways. But I'm sure that even though you were able to communicate right away, it was still really different, changing cultures.
Yeah, it definitely was.
Was it a mixture of emotions? Like, were you excited, nervous?
I was excited because it's a new country and new experience and everything, but also really nervous because the culture was way different than Nepal.
What do you think was the biggest difference?
Well, one thing was we lived in the city, so we were surrounded by like tall, big buildings everywhere.
To this area?
To this area, like, it was like complete, like, I didn't see a lot of buildings. It was all plain trees. So I was like, wow, that's a big difference. No more tall buildings everywhere. So that's one of the things.
You know, I've noticed that a lot of people who move to the States from another country come from big cities. I was actually thinking about this today because I've had multiple people who move here say, what do you do? Because I live in an area that's like, we both live in the same area. It's not a huge city. It's a decent sized city, but it's not like you're going to have tons and tons of things to do. People like work, eat, sleep, and that's about it. And so I thought to myself that I hadn't thought about it actually before today. But almost everybody who comes here comes from a big city. You don't have like farmers from the middle of Africa that move to the United States. No. And so I imagine that's a huge adjustment for anybody to move from the big city to a more rural area. That was quite interesting that that's the first thing that you mentioned.
Yeah, that's the first thing that came to my mind.
I'm interested to know what kind of things, when you come as a family, because you came with your family, what kind of things were you able to keep the same and what things had to change? Like, for example, I think I've asked some of your family before what kind of food that you eat here in the States, and you stick with mostly the same kind of stuff that you like, right? So you didn't have to change what you eat when you came here. What are some things that you couldn't leave the same? Did you originally live with a lot of family members when you were in Nepal?
Yes. We lived in a joint family, so in our house it was my parents, my sister, my uncle, aunt, their daughter, and my great-grandma and my grandma. So that's a difference.
I can't imagine going from having all the relatives together and then all of a sudden, it's just, you know, it's a smaller family because you know how many people are in your house now. There's 4 of you. That's a huge change.
Yeah, so that's a big change.
Oh, I thought that was kind of hard. Is that typical in Nepal? To have
joint family? Yeah, it's pretty typical.
I like that terminology. I learned that when I was in Nepal. Somebody said joint family. I'm like, oh, that's a nice way to call it because it gives the idea of it's a family, but it's not what I guess what in the States what they think of as like family. It's the extended family altogether. I like that terminology a lot. Your family is in ministry, and you were in ministry in Nepal as well, right? So at what point in your life, because I know that you love the Lord Jesus, at what point in your life did it become something that was personal for you as opposed to something that just kind of your family did?
I would say it was when I came here, because like I was still a kid back then, and like now as I'm growing up I have a better knowledge of things and I'm understanding more and more, so I would say when I came here.
When you were in Nepal, because you were in a Christian home, but I'm sure you had friends that were raised in non-Christian homes. Did you ever like have conversations about the differences between the ways you were being raised? Because something I noticed in Nepal is how whatever your religion is, and I hate calling Christianity a religion because I feel like it's more like a relationship, but for the sake of conversation we'll say religion. It really impacts every aspect of your life because the major religion in Nepal is Hindu, right? Hinduism. So, and that affects a lot of things, like what you eat, what else?
Definitely relations, because a lot of people, like for my family at least, whenever we have a festival. Like it's a lot of festivals we have in Nepal are Hindu related. So, and whenever we have festivals, we have people come over to our house. And definitely religion too, because a lot of my family members are, well, extended family members are not Christian. So, the Hindu festivals kind of what keeps us together, I guess.
So it's like having these big celebrations every so often throughout the year.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to celebrate.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, that...
Yeah.
Did your family, like, how did your family work with that? Is that...
Well, we didn't really participate on, like, celebrating the gods and worshiping gods and everything, but we just, like, had dinner together, like, so not worshiping the main idea of the festival, but just for the sake of hanging out together.
I see.
We had dinner and all that.
Yeah, family relationships can be tricky in any country, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh, I know what I wanted to ask you. So this is something that I have always wondered.
Okay.
Whenever I love people, I'm an extrovert, and I had a friend tell me one time, if you were a dog, you'd be a golden retriever puppy, because you're like, And I thought that was kind of funny, but that was kind of accurate. But I especially like meeting people who are from different countries because I love asking them questions.
Yeah.
And I feel like they have fascinating stories. But I've always wondered, when you come to live in a new place, one of the desires usually is you kind of want to just fit in and be normal to some extent. How does it feel when you move somewhere and you have people ask you questions all the time? Do you feel like that slows down the feeling of fitting in, or do you feel like it gives you stuff to talk about?
I feel like it definitely gives you stuff to talk about, and also you can give them more information on your country. Like, a lot of, like, when I first came here, a lot of my friends, whenever I said Nepal, they only thought of, like, mountains. Like, that I came from the mountains. So it was good to tell them that Nepal isn't only about the mountains, but that there are a lot of other stuff. So that's definitely a way to talk to people, I guess, like, especially new people.
Were there other things that they had in mind, like these conceptions of Nepal that you had to be like, oh, actually?
Like, I guess, like, food, they thought we didn't have certain type of food, and I was like, no, actually we do. So that's the other thing.
I was amazed by that too. In Kathmandu, you can get just about any kind of food you want to find.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, we have some Nepali food that I brought home with me that I haven't tasted yet, and we're going to do another episode where we're going to taste that together, so stay tuned. But for now, bye, thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you later.
Bye.